Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on mysterious and weird true stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 67, written by user ernestomarord. Moxie had passed away, but maybe not entirely yet. Moxie was 14 years old. She was a pit mix. Sweet dog with a strong personality. On New Year's Eve 2020, she suffered from vestibular disease, which refers to a sudden, non-progressive disturbance of balance. It is more common in older dogs. It's also referred to as old dog vestibular syndrome and canine idiopathic vestibular syndrome. This happened while I was walking her and the other dog, Kuma, together. We were about half a block from the house when this happened. After the diagnosis on the 1st and 6th of January, her health deteriorated further. Lost about 20 pounds and refused to relieve herself outside, even with a comfortable sling I had purchased for her to ease her walking and to ease my back. She died on February 1st around 9 a.m. There was sadness all around. A week later, on the 8th, we were in the kitchen making dinner when suddenly, her distinctive bark of happiness was heard down the hallway from our bedroom. One loud bark. This is something she would do regularly to get our attention so we could help her get onto the bed. We both stopped what we were doing and stared at each other. The other dog looked down the hallway also. I said, "That was Moxie." Her, "It was." Me, "She must be saying hello from the afterlife." We both, and Kuma, curiously went to the bedroom, turned on the light, and there was nothing out of the ordinary, just the notion that she barked at us from the afterlife. Case notes, file number 67. So this was one final echo from your beloved. This is beautiful in its sadness. Ordinarily, if only one of you had heard it, I'd have chalked it up to your mind conjuring her bark as almost a defense mechanism against the weight of your loss. Of course, your wife heard it too, and even Kuma, the other dog, so there's nothing hallucinatory about that. I do love it when unusual events have multiple witnesses. I'm genuinely sorry for your loss. I've had 3 dogs in my relatively short life so far. It's hard to describe the biting, sharp pain that accompanies their passing. But I think biting and sharp do a good enough job. But as they say, time does mend all wounds, so hang in there. You'll be okay. A quick note before the next story. If you're enjoying the video, consider sharing it. It really helps. Thank you. Case file number 68, written by user MarianOfOz. This is her sister's recounting of an unsettling reality not of her own. Hi, I'm from Italy, and I've already contributed with 2 posts and strange things often happen to me. But this happened yesterday to my sister, and she's still freaked out about it. Due to the pandemic, she's working at home, and every midday, she goes to our parents to take the family dog out for a walk. Yesterday, she went to take Jazz out, but there was no Jazz. He was nowhere to be found. Our dad was out grocery shopping, and our mom was in the kitchen. When she asked her if Jazz was with our father, our mother asked her who was Jazz. Long story short, there was no dog. Apparently, after the death of our first dog, we didn't adopt another one. Thinking of a strange prank, which is not typical of our parents. They're not pranksters, and they're in their 80s. She searched the house, and she couldn't find anything suggesting the presence of a dog. No dog food, no dog bed, no dog toys, which he has plenty of. They're always strewn about everywhere. Then our dad came home. When she interrogated him, he started to think that she was the one who was joking. At the same time, from the kitchen TV, she heard the news reporter talking about the end of the pandemic and the surge of something she couldn't understand. This morning, she said to me that the reporter didn't seem very preoccupied for the surge of whatever it was, because a word she couldn't hear would take care of it. She was so agitated that she also warned me that maybe she didn't understand it well. After that, she returned home because she didn't want our parents to see her while she was freaking out, and she tried to call me because she's still indifferent to these kinds of events, but she knows I'm a believer, and she wanted me to join her to unravel what happened, trying to understand what had happened. And then, I was nowhere to be found. My cell phone wasn't active, and she couldn't even reach the shop where I work. They simply didn't answer the phone, which is quite improbable because except for being closed, for us to answer the phone is mandatory. She tried with some of my friends too, with no success. After that, she went to bed and cried until she fell asleep. This morning, I found 16 calls from her, with today's date. I called her back worried that something had happened, and she was crying. She's still very agitated, and she took Jazz to her home because she wants him to spend the night with her. She also confessed to me that yesterday, she couldn't muster the courage to call our parents or relatives and ask about me because she was too scared they would tell her she was an only child. At the moment, she doesn't want to talk about it anymore, and obviously, I keep asking myself what was that? My parents told me yesterday that they didn't see her at all. They tried to call her at midday for the dog, but her phone was muted, and they concluded that maybe she was busy. They thought it was strange her phone was muted, but they didn't investigate further. This is all. I keep wondering where Jazz and I were, and what the news was talking about. Maybe in another universe, if my sister was not hallucinating. She never had these kinds of problems before. I'm so curious, but she's still too freaked out to talk about it again. A little update. My sister made a doctor's appointment for next week because we talked about nightmares and vivid dreams, and she had those, but nothing like that. She thinks she's stressed and that she may have had a mental breakdown. The evening we spent together, she told me the rest of the story, which has no mystery in it. She got home totally panicked and she couldn't stop crying. She laid down to calm down, and in the end, she cried herself to sleep. She was awakened by the cold in the middle of the night. She felt confused, tired, and with a big headache. Then she vaguely remembers calling me. This time the call went through properly. She felt reassured by the ring, and she kept calling me every time she woke up. Unfortunately, I didn't have a ringtone, so I saw them only in the morning. Now she's very angry, and she's panicked. And after making me swear it wasn't a bad joke on my part, she decided to see a doctor. She ruled out anything weird. To her, the only mystery is that she has lost a day. That Sunday, before going to get the dog, she did some computer work. Then she got dressed and went to my parents'. When she woke up, the computer was on standby, but with no work saved. She was completely dressed and the bed was made. The door was not locked. Maybe she was sleepwalking, but she never suffered from it before. This is all. Thank you again for the attention. Also about the dog, Jazz was the name they gave him at the shelter, and we kept it. Case notes, file number 68. There was some transition point if I'm understanding correctly. She was in an alternate universe that's almost a certainty from what I'm reading. Uniquely though, relative to other stories like this, the universe she occupied briefly was significantly different from our own. Normally, quote unquote, the differences are very subtle, often not even noticeable for a long time. But when she got back home and called you, the calls went through. She was back. Perhaps it was related to her falling asleep. It wouldn't be our physical bodies moving in space-time, but the conscious player in us hopping bodies. You can call it our souls if you want. In sci-fi, the best comparison I could make is in Stargate SG-1, the 9th and 10th seasons. They have an ancient device that links consciousnesses between people, tethered to the device. The original host body shifts to the first body, and the first body shifts to the original, no matter the distance, trading places effectively. But instead of through space-time, in this case it's through many other universes parallel to our own. I just don't understand why or how it happens. Of course, that's the mystery. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, and subscribe on up. I'm always uploading more. I'll see you soon.